and welcome to another market breakdown where I share with you my insights, trades I have taken and why, or trades I didn't take and why. So diving straight in, this is Monday the 15th of July, so last week from where we are right now. Today it is currently the 22nd of July. I can't believe we're already almost in August. Everything just seems to be going so fast at the moment. This is the first month of the third quarter. Now, the start of this quarter for me has been incredibly slow because I haven't essentially planned efficiently what I'm going to do. I find planning to be very important because it sets you on a direction for you to follow to see whether that's, it makes your feet move in a certain direction, move forward, and then you kind of go from there. But I didn't plan my quarter because I am struggling with the aspect of planning for a longer term. And I'm talking a month to a quarter as starting that. I guess that's a medium term, but long term for now. And I struggle with that because recently I've been planning my months, and within the first week, it all goes very skew with. I plan like what would happen in best case scenario if I was to use all my time as efficiently as I possibly could, which just isn't realistic for me. So I'm trying to still find that balance. So trying to get that into a quarterly plan, there are some things that I've hit, that I've aimed for a year and I've already hit it. For example, taking a prop firm challenge is one of my yearly goals. And I achieved that, last month, at the beginning of last month. So halfway through, I've achieved it. So in terms of setting general larger goals, that's something I'm still working on, figuring out how to do. But because I haven't set a quarterly goal, I didn't set my monthly goals, I haven't been setting my weekly goals, and everything has been breaking down a lot. I haven't been doing my morning routine properly. I haven't been doing my golden sevens or 5 to-dos. I haven't been looking at the markets or approaching them in a way that sets me up for success. You may have heard a lot of people say it's about the process, and if you follow the process, then you get the desired outcome. I haven't been following my process in this, and therefore I have been missing trades. At the beginning, I took a lot of trades that weren't trade worthy, or they didn't fit my plan, or I was making general mistakes, and that was okay because it was something that it was a good learning lesson for me to see where I actually am in my trading journey, especially emotionally. But now it's about making sure that I'm applying my knowledge and following my processes, because I start by looking back, doing back testing of the previous day to see how price moved, and writing as I go along what I am seeing and how price is developing and what that might mean for what might come next. And then I do my forecast to see where price currently is, what I expect that could happen, and what I'm waiting to happen next to look for a trade. What setups do I want to see from where price is right now? I do that as a textbook standard, but I haven't been taking it further in terms of, okay, this is where price currently is. I think there might be a trade here. Leading up to it, does it look like the trade? Have I forecasted this? Does this fit my plan? I'm not doing those final last little steps leading up to a trade, which means I'm not setting myself up for success. So it's small things like that I'm also learning. But right now, because of how everything is, and I'm creating a lot of excuses like it's the general summer lull, the markets are slower, so I'm slower, and it's not a very good. It's very interesting because a while ago, I remember listening to a Falcon talk, and they were saying how, Falcon trading with Mark Hutchinson, and he was saying how, I think it was him or someone, when they first started trading full time, because they suddenly had all this money and time on their hands, their life changed drastically in terms of they would start getting up whenever they wanted. They did whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. And then all of their trading just went downhill because they weren't sticking to what made them successful. It's not a case of, when you're running a marathon, you run the first 100 meters as best as you can, and that's it, your work is done. To finish a marathon, you've got to, keep your consistent pace and keep going and do all the things you need to do to complete that marathon to win it. And it's the same with Forex, just because if I was a 100K funded trader, or even 200K right now, and I completed all the challenges and I had 200K, it doesn't mean that I should now stop and sit back and relax and do whatever, because I've still got to make sure I'm placing trades to earn an income, right? But I've still got to be doing that on a daily basis and doing the things that I did to set me up for success and carry on that so my success continues. And I see that right now, I'm not even at the point where I'm funded, and I'm already sort of, having these mindsets of just taking time off, and they're not structured time off either. So I think it's something that I need to be more mindful of in terms of if I'm going to have time off, it's intentional rather than it's a slow week, so I'll just say I'm having a week off kind of thing, or it's a slow period, so I'm just saying I'm a slow period and go with it. I need to be more intentional about what I am doing. But that's enough of that part right now. So let's dive into the markets and see where things are. So market open, this is the 7 o'clock candle. So just before market open, we have this gap here. So we'll see if we come and fill this gap. I do believe, again, this is what price tends to do. This isn't something that I trade or I'm looking at trading, but I do recall from previous experiences and lessons that price usually comes back, even if it's just a wick to fill this. So, and due to where price is, we're in this ranging market, so I'll only be looking for Asian range liquidity sweeps. So Asian range, this would be the high here and the low here. So the Asian range runs between 1 a.m. and I look at entries at the London Open at 8 a.m. So yep, those high and low there. So I'm waiting for price to either come back up here, break, and then retrace back in, or down and retrace back in. And we look at this on the 15-minute chart. So we will look at that right now. It's about how we approach, how we break, and how we come back if any of that happens. So right now, so I think this is market open, isn't it? Yeah, that's the market open candle. So I'm looking to take a trade anytime between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. for this, because I have not adapted my strategy to the New York time either. So we're approaching here with some momentum. We're climbing up steadily. We have a solid close here. We're just below the high. Do we break? We break just, and we close above. Do we retrace back into? No, we push up with further momentum. This is saying we're in this area of liquidity now. We have also filled this gap now from this candle and closed solid. To take a trade here, I'd like to see a retrace and close solid below this line. I don't want to just retrace this candle and close here above. I want to close below, and preferably solid as well. I don't want to see a wick, because a wick means we tried to go in, we went down so far, but then we couldn't go all the way. I'd like to see a shift in momentum, because this is a pretty solid shift upwards. So I need to see a shift downwards to take the trade. We're continuing up. There is a slight wick, so a slight warning that we might slow down a little, but see what happens after the warning. We continue. We fail to close here, so we push above, but then we fail to close above the previous candle. Another small wick. So further warning of a slowdown, but I'm not seeing price telling me that it wants to go to the downside. We get a retrace here. It was a kind of a shift, but then we did retrace and get a slight wick here. So I do not see this as a shift in momentum. So here we're just ranging. So at the moment, that's telling me we want to go down. We see a shift downwards, but we need to, again, close below here and see momentum continue, because we want price to go all the way down here, or maybe even just to here, depending on where our entry is. I'm not going to take a trade if it's less than 1 to 2 risk to reward, just because at the moment I don't feel it's worth it. For how the market is being so range bound, it can very easily just reverse and come back out. So ideally, I want to take trades that are 1 to 2 risk to reward and not a 1 to 1. So to take a trade, I'd like to see momentum come down, push down, and close below this. The only problem as well is the high is now up here. So I would want, so we'd have an entry here. Target preferably this low, but of course it might not go all that way. But because of where the high is, which is here, we're the risk to reward here is very, it's, well, yeah, 1 to 1.6. So it's not something I'm really looking at. We could do a 1-minute entry where price, if it breaks the low, if it breaks this high, sorry, I'll put a ray line and I'll go to the 1 minute, and I'll see if, when I'll wait for price to close below the ray line that we've placed, and then the previous high of the 1 minute chart will be the stop loss. But I'll need to see, again, a lot of momentum, because in the 1 minute, if we're having our stop loss here, we've still got all this area where we can come back to. So does momentum continue from this point? We continue, but we have a small wick. Price has slowed down, approaching this high again. We're struggling to break back into this range. Another wick, another slight warning sign. So because momentum hasn't continued, I'm not really looking at this point to take a trade, unless we see obvious signs of momentum. See, we've retraced. Yeah, we try to push down, wick. So I don't see this as being a potential trade anymore, because it's not something that it's looking to do. It's just ranging around this area. And we are already at 12 o'clock. So no trade on a Monday for that one. That's how I saw it anyway. So if we go back to the 1 hour, if we skip forward to a Tuesday where there is news. So at this point, I'm not looking to take a trade near the 1 o'clock mark. I'm hoping to take a trade between 8, 9, maybe 10 o'clock, depending on how it sets up, if there is a setup. But I'm not going to force anything. I'm only going to take something if it looks good. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And at this point, price isn't ranging. We haven't had an Asian range. We've had an Asian move down. So previous range here, so we've had a move down, a wick, a retrace with a shift. So there is an area of liquidity here. I did look to see if this could be a potential trade, just because, you know, we've got a push down, a push down, pullback, continuation. So looking to take this as a continuation trade. However, due to this wick and how price reacted after with this slight shift up, although it didn't continue, it is telling me that there is weakness to the downside. So obviously in hindsight, we do move down. However, there wasn't really an entry that's set up for me. And with this wick and a shift up, it's too much of a warning for me that it might not actually move down. It can, and it did, as you can see here, but it's not really convincing. It doesn't look like a trending market, you know, because we're wicking, retracing, continuing, wicking. I expect a retrace to be here. So we could just descend from here. So I don't have much confidence in this. So a trade didn't set up here, but it was something to kind of look at. But yeah, so then again here, not really looking for a turtle soup here or a liquidity trade, because there is no liquidity. If anything, there was liquidity below here and we've already taken it, and price is moving down. So nothing on a Tuesday for that. Yeah, so prices, yes, we've got the retrace, break again with a wick retrace. We do break the high here, as you can see, so we're kind of descending into a range. And then we get a large push down. But at the end of this push of momentum, we get a wick. So what happens at the end of momentum? Wick. What happens after a wick? A wick is a warning on this pair that we could range or reverse. So we need to see if momentum continues or if we range or reverse. We continue again, but we get an even larger wick, and price hasn't even, there isn't much of a candle here at all. It's a bar here at all. It's just a wick. So that's definitely telling me there's a slowdown. 2 warnings of a slowdown. So I'm expecting now a range or reverse. Pullback, no shift to the upside. So we're ranging at this point. Still ranging, trying to move up, but not moving up with much momentum. Some momentum, then slows down very quickly back into a range. So this is now we're entering the Asian session. So that's at 7 o'clock. So here we have a slight Asian range. So where is it? So we're looking at, so this opening at 1 o'clock is the low, and up here, as you can see, I've already marked it out, is the high. So I'm waiting again for a break back up. Because of how this is moving, I think I'd much prefer a break to the upside to move to the downside, just because we've kind of, got this general downward trend anyway. But depending on how price action looks in the moment, we will see. Because we have got weakness to either direction. So if we click through, we've got market open, but we're kind of in no man's land right now, so there's no break to either side. We do move up, but we don't break, and then we instantly retrace. So we're looking to break above this level before, so we can get a clear rejection, because I don't want like a tick into, if this is if this price had like one little tick into the liquidity and then moved down, it still wouldn't be a valid trade because it hasn't exactly swept liquidity. It's just kind of touched it a bit. So there is a threat of it moving back up into it like it does here. So at this point now, we've got a nice wick as well to show that it's tried to move up. It's got a wick of weakness. So now I would like to see a retrace back down. But again, we're looking at a solid risk to reward of 1 risk to reward. Otherwise, it's just not worth it because, you know, although we're ranging here, this part of the price is actually moving up. So I would like to have a guarantee, a bit more of a guarantee. That doesn't look like a guarantee to me. It looks like momentum up. So at this point, if this is the trade that I'm thinking of, I think it is. At this point, I see momentum up. I put my hands up and I just walk away. And I go about my day, I do believe. So it's 9:45, and again, we've got news at 1 o'clock. However, momentum at this point doesn't continue. We get a retrace in terms of the candle retrace. 2 little small wicks. It's not a solid close, but it has shown us now that price is not wanting to continue upwards. But momentum doesn't then build to the downside. We get a retrace here, so we could just range from this part. But price isn't telling me it wants to go down. It doesn't want to create a nice liquidity trade for us, and we're just ranging above this area in this slight area of liquidity. I guess we've kind of got this area here that it's ranging into as well. But at the moment, I'm not looking for a trade. And again, every candle we click closer to this news candle, and I'm not looking to trade in that anyway. So nothing really to see here, just because at this point, it does look nice because we come very close to, we have got that shift down. My battery's low, I need to plug that in. We do get this shift down, but it doesn't continue. Good shift momentum down, doesn't continue with momentum. I need to plug in my laptop. La, 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 la. So due to that price action looking like that and the fact that we've got news very soon, I am not looking for a trade here. So we'll go back to the hourly. Yeah, so this is actually one that, in hindsight, I thought, you know, maybe I'd missed the trade here because we get this bout of momentum up and then we get this evening star formation where, although it doesn't retrace completely, it does move down, back down with momentum. But there we get a little wick here. So, you know, laying it out, you know, I thought this was going to be one that I go over that I say that I actually missed because it actually also plays out in that it, as you can see, it moves down. That is news as well. Well, actually, the news is here. So there wasn't actually much movement on the news, but still, I wouldn't want to trade through it because I don't know what it's going to do. And this does actually complete. However, this wouldn't be the entry candle. This one would be. And after seeing this part of momentum, you know, this doesn't fill me with confidence that it actually wants to continue, although it does. But I guess as well, we've got the hindsight of, we've got the part that we are on the downward bias, so that's in our favor as well. But it's just kind of, you know, you have got bias on your side, but price action itself isn't looking too nice. And deep pullback on this pair, on the Australian dollar, US dollar. Deep pullbacks don't usually continue, so I'm not looking for this to be momentum pullback continuation, just because it doesn't. This kind of pullback can very easily just go into a range. It does just wick into this part here, so it could very easily not have reached that and then continued up. And again, it's, you know, the risk, the reward. So this is actually a funny one where I thought after I saw it that I'd actually missed it, but going over it just now, I don't think it's one that I'd miss. I would have stayed out of it anyway. So moving forward. Where are we now? 2 o'clock on a Thursday. I just missed. Yes, I have just completely missed. Right, so let's go backwards. There we go. Here we haven't even got much of a range, you know. We've had Asian session here, not very clean. Straight push down, wick down, retrace up. Because of this messy price action here, there's not really much of a range. It's a larger range still. I would ignore this candle because taking a trade from here all the way down here, although yes, I guess we've kind of got an area of liquidity under here, sort of, maybe. It's more of this taking out liquidity that's here from this move up. So it's a bit iffy. It's not really looking like clean price action. This is not really an Asian range. It's just an Asian mess. So not really looking too happy to take anything on the 15-minute. There might be a slight area here, but again, risk to reward wouldn't even make it worth looking at. So just straight off the bat, looking at it from this, there wasn't anything worth. As you can see, I haven't even drawn it out because it's just not something that I would want to look at. It's just going to move up and down. So I think, yeah, it's just it went above, moved down, but it's like, where's our target going to be? Because moving it down here just seems a bit. Could move it here, but it just seems at this point it's just a lot of discretion and a lot of taking a trade for the sake of it, rather than having a solid trade to take for a solid reason. As you can see, price does actually move down, but it was just too yucky for me. I just didn't have any confidence in it because of just how looking left it was. And yeah, the target area, like, again, how is it going to move? How is it going to range? It could just be my lack of understanding. Some people watching this might trade the turtle soup and be like, that's a textbook amazing trade and you're just a muppet, you've missed it. But for me, it was just, yeah, at this point, the entry, I don't really like, especially when we get momentum up. Targeting these lows seems to be very, depending on what the market is doing, it can be a bit hit and miss. And at the moment, I'd rather play safer for my trading rather than I feel so experienced and so confident, and so I'm happy to take any trade that I'll just take it, because again, I am in my evaluation stage. So every loss does actually count, very much so, and I'm already 2% down, so I'm very much playing on the safe side. I'd rather wait for a setup that looks beautiful rather than a setup that I am not so familiar with and I don't have great confidence in. Again, as I grow and gain experience, I might come back to a future date and laugh at this and be like, yeah, that was a great trade. I just, didn't have the understanding of it back then. I'm hoping that's the case. That'd be quite nice, if I get a different insight. But it'll also be interesting when I gain experience to come back to this trade and be like, yeah, I'm glad I stayed out of that one. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, didn't take this one despite it, technically playing out. But I just didn't like any of it. I didn't like any of it. The high was just a bit like, the high was what? At the 6 o'clock mark. I don't like it when the highs are so close to that. Yeah, and it wasn't a range again. It was a move up and then a slowdown. So it was just a bit weird. Yeah, so don't mind missing that one or staying out of that one. So on to the next. So going on to a Friday. So that's the open session here, setting this low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in no man's land at the market open. But let's see how we open. We'll go down to the 15-minute because that's what we look at on this. Large wick up, moving down. Breakdown with some momentum, but again, we have a wick here. So we do see some strength to the downside. And again, we have come from momentum to the downside. So you can see this as a push down, a pullback and a continuation. So I would really I need to see a complete reversal here to continue this range to then perhaps move down again. But the overall bias is to move to the downside. So I'm really kind of hesitant on taking a trade here. And again, if we look at a complete retrace on this to show momentum to the upside, a 1-to-1 would be above that. So we'd have to get a 1-minute entry. And when the whole price is telling me it wants to move down, it does seem a bit silly to take a buy here. And that's what I've done in the previous, where the whole market direction is in one direction. I've taken a trade to the other. Trade with the trend, even though it's going to be a ranging market. Trade with the trend if there is a general direction. But as you can see, price retraces, it does go above this line, but we get this wick to say that price has tried to move up and failed, and it's closed quite below here. So although we might not have a lot of momentum to move back down, I just see it either ranging or slowly trickling down here anyway. So I really don't see a trade here. If we broke to the upside, then it would be absolutely fantastic and on our side, because we've got everything. We've got the general market bias, and then the direct, and if this was better price action, I guess if we saw this candle, I still would be a bit hesitant, because we've tried and kind of half-assedly gone for it. But if this was a solid candle and it was the other way, so this candle was up and then candle down and a solid close below, I'd be happy with that. But we don't get that, so not looking for a trade here. and price just ranges as we thought it might, and does kind of trickle down, shift up, but yeah, at the most it's just ranging. So no trade here. So there's basically no trades this week. Again, that Wednesday one was an odd one because looking back, I thought I had missed it. Alas, I had not. It was not good price action. Did play out, and there was news. So a lot of things that I would have just stayed out away from it. Anyway, it is a Monday. It is 10 o'clock, and I haven't taken a trade here today. I will go over this again at the end of the week anyway. But yeah, again, we've got the low here. We broke above on the 7 o'clock candle. So this one was where, yeah, so the lows here, look, I'll do it with ray lines because it's easier. But the 1 o'clock, the open or the high is over here. So it's like you've got this momentum down. It's a bit, yeah, I don't like that. Like I would take the exit would be better here, but I mean at the moment it's ranging here, right? So it's kind of this whole price action is just a bit skew with. But yeah, we break below at 6:45 and at 7 o'clock. So before London opened, we get this, which kind of looks like an entry, but again, with where our target is and the way price is looking, I wouldn't like it anyway. But yeah, it wasn't London Open, so we're not looking for that. Here we do get another shift up at London Open, but straight away it doesn't continue, so I'm not looking to take any trades at this point or today, unless something else sets up like a continuation, but it doesn't look like a turtle soup is going to be possible. Anything else I'm looking at? Nothing really, because price is doing this weird thing where it's telling me there's weakness to the downside, but moving down nevertheless. So like here, momentum doesn't continue. We get wicks, we retrace, reverse, break the high, fail to move up, move back down, break these lows, range, break the low again with a wick, retrace back up with momentum, range, move back down. Wicks, retrace, wick, retrace, descending here, move up with momentum, fail, down with momentum, wick, retrace. And I just see that's how price is going to move. It's one of those that, although it's doing this and it's still moving down, I wouldn't take a trade anyway, because at any point it could not reverse, but probably range. I don't see this as being like a descending channel that's going to actually reverse, because this pair just has a very big habit of just ranging out of this price action. But I don't know how long this run is going to continue for. So at no point was I looking for a trade, because it's not telling me it wants to go down. It just is moving down. There is weakness to the downside, but there's even more weakness to the upside, hence why every time it shifts up, it's failing to continue. There may be a method in that in terms of, we're moving downwards, we're seeing shift, and every shift there's a reject. So perhaps that's a point where there is a strategy there where, if we're moving direction even correctively, if we're failing every time to move to the other direction, then there's a trade there. I don't know, maybe this could be an entry here, shift up, fail, entry. Well, we would need momentum for that. Here, shift up, fail, where the entry be, I wouldn't know. But still, things, I'm not looking to trade in any direction for this either way, because the downward trend could last the next hour and then reverse. So nothing to see here at the moment. I do love the summer, but roll on September when the markets start to pick up a bit. But I do need to make sure that this is a great time to actually make sure that I'm getting my processes right. Even though the markets are slow, it's the best time, because now I'm missing less trades. It's the best time for me to make sure I'm getting my arse into gear. So when the markets do pick up again, I'm in the right position, and I'm setting myself up for success. I'm not skipping over my practices, and I am going to be there ready to take the trades when they appear. I don't expect to catch every single one, because life does generally just get in the way, but at the moment I'm getting in my own way rather than life getting in my way. But that's it from me and this week. I hope you all have a very fantastic week. The weather here is, the sun's coming out, it has been raining, my washing is outside, it did get rained on, but the sun will do its job and dry the rest of that out again. So that's how I plan on doing that. But yeah, odd weather here in England, as it always is. But otherwise, I hope you have a very fantastic week. Drink lots of water, get your exercise in, stay good, stay healthy, stay groovy. I shall see you all later.